Hey everybody, this is Capri in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. This video is a time-lapse of a full week of crafting, listing, and sales. For the past few weeks, I've been going through the crafting log, making everything for the achievements, and then selling it. This week was all about Leatherworker and Weaver, and as always, we will be doing this together. I was going to make this a more organized video with the number crunching, and the plan was originally going to be calculating the average cost to craft 20 items and then the average in sales to calculate the approximate profit margin for each piece on average. But I lost track of how much stuff I was buying and making, so that idea just went straight out the window. While I do not have the details that I normally have, this video should still be fun to watch because I felt the freedom, which came from the many friends that I have made but also kind of ignored this week. But I felt the freedom and confidence to just go wild and bulldoze my way through whatever I felt like trying, and it was a blast. The only hard part was trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about for 20 minutes. Most of the footage for the first few minutes of this video was kind of the setup phase. I did already have about 20 items still waiting to sell from my previous crafting sprees, but since I have 6 retainers, I can have up to 120 items listed on the market board. So I needed to make around 100 items for this project. So I opted to purchase the materials because trying to gather the materials by hand would take far too long. Gathering is something that I do for enjoyment, but if I want to craft, my highest priority is getting the items made and up on the market board as soon as possible for the players who need these items. For the cost of my first crafting spree, I dropped about 1 million on everything, including crystals. I was getting ready to make over 100 items. Do not feel like you have to drop 1 million for a crafting session, especially with making low-leveled gear. Another thing to note, the crystals that I bought here lasted me the entire week and I still have plenty left over. And as I'm reviewing this footage, I see a few materials where the crafted version is either similarly priced or cheaper than the raw gathered materials. This is very normal on my server, and I knew it was a trend when I started this project. So if I had slowed down purchasing and paid attention, I would have saved myself so much time and effort, and possibly a little bit of money as well. Alright, we have talked enough about the material cost in the most generalized and non-number crunching way that I could possibly tolerate. This is because material cost is important, hands down. Even though the materials or the numbers are not exact, you can still see how much I spent at the start of this project. I'm just going to let the footage do the talking for a minute until we hit the next point of interest, which should be when we pull our first million in sales off of our retainers. Here we are pulling our first million in sales off of the retainers, and this million took about 36 hours to sell. Then this is where I decided to make a fun but very, very bold move. I went ahead and spent about 6 million on Sky Steel materials to make the Sky Pirate and the Sky Rat glamours. I wound up making about 50 pieces just to see how many I could sell in a week. I also handed some off to some friends who are good at making screenshots, so they are going to model the gear for you. While waiting for sales, I did a few various other tasks. I turned in coffee biscuits when I hit that uh-oh moment after spending 6 million, which I totally did to myself, but worth it. And I also poked around with crafter scripts, which I have yet to really get into that, and worked on a few crafters quests because I actually did not have manipulation yet on any of my crafters at the start of this video. These all gave me ideas for what to do for crafting videos in the future, and now that I have the mess up out of the way, I think I know what I will be doing in the future to make it easier on both myself and on you. Okay, so here we are pulling another million in sales off of the retainers. This project started on a Thursday morning. Our first million we retrieved on a Friday evening, and this million was on a Saturday evening, so about 24 hours after our first million in sales. The value that I hope that you find in this video is how much you could potentially sell a day, which is why I'm specifically making the point in showing what I've sold every time I loot. I knew this market was good before starting this video, as it paid for many of my expensive or silly adventures. And on a normal week, I only relist items immediately before work, so once a day, and craft up the 120 items in sales maybe once or twice a week. This week, I was aiming for relisting and filling up my retainers full of items to sell 3 times a day. And really, it still only took a max of 45 minutes daily, even if I was going slow or if I was distracted. Speaking of distracted, I have to admit I was trying to do too much during this video's production. I had a blast making it, but I'm doing too much. I was trying to relearn how to edit videos because I work at a high school now as a janitor and would like to help edit the events that get filmed because there's only one person doing it. And then, sorry, you're all my test subjects for that because I'm honest about things like that. And then I also made a gil per hour rate video, tried to organize a formal crafting video, hunted more ideas for videos, and tried to progress my crafters to expand what I can make and sell. And I also spent Wednesday or Thursday playing around on various other demo video software. And on the exact day when I was supposed to end the video with a final clip, I decided it was a great day to do dungeons, so I was tanking. A few more videos and I should be able to calm down because I'm excited to make videos again. It was so much fun in the past and you gave me so much encouragement, and I'm excited because I have so many more ideas and more confidence now. Alright, we've only got a few more minutes. It looks like 10 minutes left, so we will start talking about some of the specifics. A majority of our sales was low-leveled gear. This is something that you can pretty much start during your first day as a crafter, though until you are around level 25 or 30, you will struggle to make high quality items. The only other crafting video I made, low level gear, was what I was making and selling. I complained in that video about sales being slow, but I was only selling items on 2 retainers in an attempt to make the video as realistic as possible. That idea kind of went out the window, but not entirely for this one. Anyways, something that I noticed when I was selling gear here in this video is that the gear was selling faster in this video versus the other one. My guess is because, there's still the limitation for how many items can be sold because of the number of retainers. There are more items to choose from because we've had 2 expansions since Heavensward. There are more players and more needs, so I think that's made a huge influence on how fast gear sells. This is not an unknown market, and the competition can be really protective of it. A few of my friends have mentioned a couple other players by name that they believe to be botters, and a total of 3 names are suspected of it. If I was up against 1 to 3 botters in this video, honestly, it doesn't bother me. You can see that I was still making sales, and it really gave me the chance to kind of flex my market board skills, not for the world so much, but for myself, and it was a real confidence booster. I'm really excited. I got 2 of the achievements I was after in this video, and then here in a second we are going to loot another million, and this was Sunday evening, so another 24 hours after our last million. So that means so far this week that is 3 million in 4 days. I have already touched upon how I knew this was a good market before making this video, and it has worked so well for me in the past few months. I knew that I would sell at least 1 out of every 4 to 5 items every day if I relisted. If I skipped a relisting, that was a different story. Sales are steady, but not so fast as to go through my entire stock before I was ready to make the effort to resupply, which is great for people who are on the busy side. You can probably tell that I am so overgeared for this, and you do not need to have this much gear for this market. As long as you are set up enough to make high quality gear reliably in the level range that you have chosen to target, you'll be fine. I do advise having a target level range to keep the materials that you need as simple and streamlined as possible. I am itching to move up in the crafting world, so I am glad to have this opportunity to put this method up on the channel. That way people who are still in that in-between range where they're not leveling but they're not max, they can still have access to this idea. I cannot thank you enough for giving me your time to watch this video. I know it's a little sporadic, and the idea that I had visualized did not pan out the way I wanted, but this was still so much fun to make nonetheless. Oh, let's talk about a couple of the other tidbits I dabbled with. The beetle glue was an experiment. When I saw that several of the items I've needed, or was making needed them, I made some extras to see what would happen. And I sold through, I think it was 10 or 15 in the first hour, but none of it sold the rest of the week. I also ran short on time one day, so when I saw that there was some green glider leather, I bought that up for cheap and relisted to make a minimum of 500 but up to 1,000 gil profit per unit. Because I had to run, I did not craft, but rather flipped them as is, and most of those had sold. I had some of the ingredients from the crafter scripts up for a couple hours, and something sold. I think it was the high quality chicken thighs, but I did not leave them up long enough to get a good feel for that market. And then as for the Sky Pirate and the Sky Rat glamours, we sold 5 pieces this week, so about 10% of what we crafted. Okay, we are almost done and at the final lootings. I have so many ideas for videos and for the channel in general. My day-to-day life is so much easier than before, and because of that, I get to do more in the game than I had ever done before. Several people suggested to make other types of content, which I think I might, even though I'm super nervous about it. This channel was started with the intention to get other people to make the type of content that I was looking for. And that still is and will always be the primary goal of the channel. I'm not 100% sure how I want to go about promoting other channels, but one thought I had is playing right alongside other people who are making videos. I don't have to narrate or organize the content in those videos, just show up and have a good time. The hardest part of that would be planning a time to play with other content creators. The channel is likely going to be cleaned up and will get a name change. Because my character's name is Lissip, I was thinking Capless Gaming, so as to blend the two names together. Okay, looting the last full million. This was done super early on Wednesday morning, so it was just over another 24, so let's call it 30 hours to sell through this million. By this time, I was starting to screw around because I just got tired of this market and did not maintain my listings. Then our final looting was technically on the 8th day of sales, so the title of the video is not completely true, but details. And then the final day of sales, we made 796,000. So in total for the week, we made 4.5 million, I think. I kind of got lost because that was a lot of money making and a lot of numbers I didn't keep track of. So, alright everybody, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you later. Love you. My mic is kind of driving me nuts because I don't know where to hold it so that I sound good without all the sounds.